All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Five Guys here at your friendly neighborhood Starbucks. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at 5 Reasons Sports. We've got Alex Donno. You can follow him at Alex Donno. He is home, so he's better situated at the moment. We'll get to our topic today. Of course, going to talk Heat. Make sure you check out the starting five that I did. A little less background noise on that one this morning, and also the recent episodes of Five on the Floor. We're going to get you ready for the Heat opener tonight against the Orlando Magic. Sponsored here by our friends over at Better Edge. Use code 5RSN. You get $20 to play right away. You can see the line there. The Heat are 2-point favorites at home tonight. But here's the key. You got 15 other orders, which means you can play on the other side. Okay, so other people may want to go with different odds here, different lines, all the rest of that stuff. You can do that at Better Edge. You can't do that anywhere else. Again, this is peer-to-peer sports betting, legal in the state of Florida. And when you use the code 5RSN, you get $20 to play right away. We also do want to mention our friends at Prize Picks. So play that as well. Use the code 5 FIVE for that one, and you get $50 on top of the 5 that you put down. All right, Alex. People have heard from me enough. I think at this point, we've done I think 110 podcasts since the last time that the Heat played in a game that meant anything. We've talked a lot, and now actually tonight we get to see what they look like. What are your expectation level? What's your expectation level for the season?
You know, I think I'm more excited right now than I was for most of the offseason. And there's a few reasons for that, Ethan. I mean, we all know that for the Heat to do something special this season, and I don't even know how I would define special, maybe avoid the play-in, maybe win a playoff series. Again, you know, we're going to need more availability from someone like Jimmy Butler, and he seems incredibly motivated to play more games this season. That was something that he has explicitly stated heading into the year started. He's motivated because of his contract situation. I think he's also motivated for pride because people are kind of down on him league-wide after the way that things went, the way that things ended last year. I'm also excited based on the way that things have gone in the preseason, and I know preseason there's not always, you know, a direct connect in every way to the regular season, but the offensive pace has been up. I think that this team can create more of an identity scoring-wise than they did last season, where sometimes you felt like it was in quicksand. The turnovers forced were way up at 15.2 per game in the preseason. Obviously, as we've talked about a lot here on Five Guys, you know, young players like Jovic, and, you know, I don't know how much we'll see Kalel Ware this year, but anything we get from him, I'm going to be excited to watch, you know, his development. Jaime Jaquez in his second year with the Miami Heat. I'm also, you know, looking forward to seeing how Bam Adebayo continues to evolve his game, because the big question everybody's wondering about, based on the way last season ended and what we've kind of seen before the season started, we expect the three-point attempts to be way up. That's something he's really looking at and expanding his game. We've already got a little bit of a taste of that. So, you know, all of this, and honestly, and you know, talking about availability, I know Tyler Hero has been big on that as well, that his goal is to stay healthier and more available this year. So they've been doing all the right things in preseason. They've been saying all the right things, where I feel like Al Pacino in Godfather 3, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. And I'm excited to watch some regular season basketball starting tonight.
Well, I think part of the reason some people are pulled back in is because they got pulled into the Dolphins before the season, and then they got yanked back to the side. And so I think at some point, you know, there is sort of excitement for a franchise that tends to deliver what they promise, and I don't think this year they're delivering too much. I think that's the difference. They don't believe. I don't think in the internal organization in the front office, I don't think they believe they're a championship contender as currently constituted. But I do think that they see paths to get better. And if these guys can grow, then it gives them more to play with as they move forward. And that's why I keep coming back to this. And I talked about this on Starting Five. A lot of this is the start, and a lot of this is tonight. And obviously, it's 1 out of 82, just like the Knicks giving up 6,000 threes in the last game to Boston. Doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme, but you're playing against a team. And would you like a cappuccino? Because I can hear that in the background.
It sounds fresh.
This is when you just need to find something on the road. They're playing against a team here that they have to get past. I mean, because I look at the Eastern Conference and I say, all right, Boston, New York, Philadelphia. These teams are going to have challenges. New York doesn't have it's big or Mitchell Robinson at this stage. You know, you look at Boston; they're playing without Porzingis, so they look just fine. Milwaukee, I think, is going to have some difficulties because I think beyond Giannis and Dame, their core has gotten kind of old. And so I don't really know if they have the reinforcements. I don't know if Gary Trent and DeLon Wright are enough in that regard. But I look at that middle pack. I look at Orlando. I look at Cleveland. I look at Indiana. And I'm like, if Miami can get to the top of that group, then home court is a possibility in the first round for this team with some health. And it starts with Orlando. Look, the rest of the division sucks. Charlotte's terrible. Washington's terrible. They're tanking. Atlanta's not going to be very good. If you finish ahead of Orlando, you really only need to pick off one other team of the so-called contenders in the East to get out of the play-in. And I know that's not a typical Heat goal because a typical Heat goal is winning or misery, win a championship. But as far as this season goes, it's just to put yourself in better position than you've been in and have the growth of the young players maybe carry you into the end of the season where you become really tough out for somebody. So this has been a recalibration of expectations. And I think it's been positive in the sense that people like you who were sort of skeptical of what they're looking at are like, okay, I'm going to give this season a chance now. Whereas I think a lot of our sort of listeners a couple months ago when they weren't really doing a lot in free agency were like, I don't even care about this year. I'm not feeling that right now.
Well, and to a point you brought up earlier, not that these two things are necessarily correlated because, they usually don't play at the same time, but you're not wrong about what you said about the Miami Dolphins. And, it looks like at least Tua is going to be coming back, which hopefully, at least makes them fun to watch again because watching, these past couple of games, watching that Indianapolis game, even the New England game that they won, prior to the bye week, it's like I can find a lot of more entertaining things to do with my time on a Sunday afternoon. So Heat basketball couldn't come back quickly enough. But to what you're saying about kind of the goals for this year, Ethan, like, would it be safe to classify this as a transitional year for the franchise? That it's like be competitive, but get ready for better things down the road.
I think so. I don't think they're entering into it with sort of it as closed off as that, in the sense that I don't think they believe this has to be a transitional year for them, but I think they know it could be. And I think that we could be heading towards not a rebuild. This franchise does not rebuild. They don't know how to do it. When I've talked to them about tanking, they're like, we can't tank, we suck at it. It's not that. I think that it's more of a refresh we could be looking at. We could be looking kind of a soft reset, refresh around Bam at age 27. We'll see what happens with Tyler, but he's under 25. Hawkes 23, Jovic 21, Ware 21, 2021. Larson 21, 22. They have the pieces. I think this is actually the most talented young group they've had since 03-04. And as they're honoring Dwayne Wade on Sunday and Monday, I go back to the 2003-2004 season where they had Dwayne as a rookie. They had Haslam undrafted as a rookie. They had Karan Butler in his second season as a first-round pick, and they had former first-round pick Lamar Odom, who was not yet 25 years old. This is the most talented young core they've had since then. And so I think this is, again, it could be a pivot season a little bit. Not necessarily transitional, but, okay, you have the pieces to grow, and maybe there's a new front man instead of Jimmy. But I do think the way that Jimmy has acted since he came late to media day, but since then, not just the things he said, but the things we've seen behind the scenes, the Rozier thing with him, playfully kind of, wearing Rozier's outfit, all the rest of this stuff. It seems like he's at least committed to his teammates and to earning another contract. And as long as those two things are intact, I think you're going to get the best of him. And I do think you'll get more availability. All right. On the other side, we're going to talk a little bit more about specific goals for the season. Of course, we did a predictions episode on 5 on the Floor. I did that with Brady and Greg last night. That's up on the YouTube channel as well. Make sure you subscribe. A lot of content. Also, Inside Leverage on the Dolphins tonight. Pulse of Fins Nations last night. We're not forgetting about the Dolphins, even as much as maybe we would like to. All right, I'm going to mention a great sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, You Break Wheel Fix. You can find them at youbreakwheelfix.com. I'm kind of close to Miami right now. You can find them in North Miami, 305-748-0112. You Break Wheel Fix. If you have broken wheels, damaged wheels, anything along those lines, or you just want to freshen them up, they have the powder coating, they have the heat colors, they do everything for you from the beginning. And here's the thing, Mark and his team will give you 5.5% off if you mention 5 Reasons. So check them out at You Break Wheel Fix. Again, that's with the U at the start, youbreakwheelfix.com. We appreciate them also sponsoring 6 Rings Canes and 5 on the Floor. So I'm going to let you make your predictions because I've done all this already. I have them at 47 and 35. I have them as a 4 or 5 seed. I do think they can get kind of to the top of that bracket. Vegas is 44.5. I think it could go lower than that if, again, they get off to a slow start. That 6-game trip worries me. And then maybe they pivot. They don't have Jimmy. Some of the injuries start. You don't get the good feeling, and then they're in the low 40s or something along those lines. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say 47-35. I know Sylvander likes 49-33. I think most people are kind of in that 44 to 49 range. Where are you?
Yeah, I have been, and it's like I guess Vegas must get me. I know I don't get them if you've seen my betting slips, but it's like even without knowing, like I forgot that it was 44.5. I've been thinking most of the offseason, I've been thinking 45, which would be just over that. But then so much of it is contingent on health and stability of the roster, because I think they would have been so much better in the regular season if they had better injury luck and, better luck. Obviously, Jimmy went through some personal stuff off the court that affected his availability. So maybe I'm setting the bar a little bit low at 45 wins. To me, that's my expectation though, right? I guess the 45 to 47 range. So I guess I'm somewhere in that neighborhood with you. I'm not quite as optimistic as Greg, although I'd like to be. Maybe if the Heat win comfortably tonight, I'll adjust my prediction accordingly. But no, I'm around that neighborhood, and I think that my primary, if you look big picture, macro goal, because they're obviously macro and micro if you break down every individual player, but I think my big goal would be to avoid the play-in. If you can be so fortunate to get, maybe home court for at least one round of the playoffs. I want to see, close to 70 regular season games from Jimmy this year, if we're so lucky. Same thing with Tyler, 70 plus. I think this is a very important year for Tyler and for his consistency. It's kind of, taken over as, I'm not going to say number one scoring option, but like a 1B to 1C, depending on what Jimmy and Bam are doing. So I think Tyler's development, this is a super important season. And, for Bam, I think that I would already consider him a superstar, multiple all-star and all that. But I think for Bam to really, like you said, it kind of take that torch and become more of the leader of this basketball club, because he's going to be around for a lot longer than Jimmy's going to be at this point, no matter what happens with the contract this year. And just also, I talked at the top about having a little bit more of an offensive identity with more pace is something that they've been accomplishing in the regular season, because I think it is also, or in the preseason, I want to see that transition to the regular season, because I also think the entertainment value is important, Ethan. And I know that doesn't always align with your seeding and playoff goals, but I think that after what felt like the regular season last year felt like an exercise in futility, and then, the postseason was not fun either, Miami's brief run. So just give us a little bit more entertainment 82 times plus on television this year, I think would be big. And, because I'm excited. I'm dialed in. My winter sports now. I've got my Florida Panthers back for the last couple weeks. I'm getting my Miami Heat back tonight. So these are some of the things I'm looking for this year.
Yeah, we've come to this point where everything's going on at once, which is a good thing. I'm with you as far as the entertainment value. That's really all I want this year. I don't want it to be a slog like it's been. And, what people forget is, or they don't forget maybe, but 2 years ago it was a slog too. They got to the finals, but the regular season was not fun. I do think we're going to have more debates about who should be playing, who shouldn't be playing. There's more at Spo's disposal. And I keep coming back to this. Spo seems energized to me. The fact that he's experimenting in plain sight, he's putting it out there. They're not hiding anything. He's taking chances, and I think he has to. I think this is what they're paying him for, is to maximize what they have. And I know people want them to have more in terms of having another lead star. It's not going to happen right now. This comes in from Bro. I'm Ethan. Hope all's been well. We appreciate you as well. What's your realistic take on how far we can go this season? I think if everything broke right, this could be an Eastern Conference Finals team similar to what, say, Indiana was last year. A lot of things have to happen, and some of that has to be misfortune for other teams. It has to be a situation where, like, Embiid not playing in the back-to-backs becomes a real issue. It has to be a situation where the Knicks pieces really don't fit. Bridges' shot is broken. They miss Hartenstein. There's a whole bunch of different things that could play out here. I wouldn't bet on them going to the conference finals. I do think they're going to get out of the play-in. I think they're emphasizing it this year. And I think, again, unless they trade Jimmy, and I don't see the reason to right now, unless they trade Jimmy, I expect them to get in that 4 to 6 window in the East and give themselves a chance at least to get to the conference finals. All right, Alex, we appreciate it. Lots more content coming up today. Obviously, we'll have Brady, myself, and Alex at the game. We're bombing out videos. Make sure you subscribe to Off the Floor. We put stuff there first. And, of course, follow 5 Reasons Sports on Twitter and follow Alex. Follow, Alex on Locked On Canes as well, the one undefeated team in this market with, the likely Heisman Trophy winner. So follow his content there as well. Appreciate everybody. Alex, we will be back, I guess, possibly tomorrow. You and I will catch up on this. But next episode will probably be a little more football focused. But enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you. You too.